Welcome to Pain with a Purpose, the podcast where we dive deep into the stories of resilience, redemption, and purpose. I'm your host, Chris Woods, and each week we will sit down with guests who have faced challenges with substance abuse, mental health, and recovery. But we're not just dwelling on the past. Instead, we'll explore what keeps them driven towards a purposeful life. Join us as we navigate the journey from pain to a purpose.
So with that, welcome back to Pain with a Purpose, Season 1, Episode 10.
10.
It's been a long time coming. Today we have Cluff, Katie Sullivan. There's a lot of different names, but we'll get into all of them. So thank you for coming out. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. It's past my bedtime, but I'm happy to be here.
I don't know if the viewers can see, but it's still light out. So why in the world would I have you come out here? Why would I have you come onto the podcast? I feel like you played, not many people know, but I feel like you played a little bit of a part in this podcast. So why would I have you come out?
I don't know, Chris, if you felt bad for me, because I'm a little older than the last people that came on the podcast, which, by the way, great job. Love listening to it. Maybe a different type of story, more longevity.
A little bit more lived experience.
A little more lived experience.
So yeah, let's jump into it. So what is the lived experience? Like, what's your story a bit? We don't have to get into the whole experience, strength, and hope type deal, but how did we meet and how did we land here? And we'll start, if we jump all over, that's okay too. And then as you're kind of saying your story, some stuff's going to pop in my head and then I'll start asking.
Okay. Well, my story is we met through work, but my story goes that I was raised in an alcoholic home. My father, he actually passed away with 35 years of continuous sobriety, is very well known in the program. And I never wanted to be like my father. And I turned out to be exactly like my father. And I was forbidden to drink, and there's a lot of rules growing up. Strict Irish Catholic household. I always wanted to people please, always wanted love, attention. And I turned out to be like exactly like my father. And I didn't drink in high school much because I wanted to prove, like, I remember breathing in my mom's face when I would come home, like proud that I wasn't drinking. And I think my drinking sort of took off like hardcore my first year in college. Went to East Stroudsburg. I lasted there for 2 years, got arrested, a lot of underage drinking arrests.
How many? Just one?
No, a lot. I said a lot. I got tossed. I was an ugly drunk, Chris. It's probably hard to believe because, it's so pretty now. But really ugly drunk. I'd start drinking and, get in fights, land in the hospital, land in ERs, wake up, didn't know where I was. I was a blackout drinker. It was just really ugly. So multiple underage arrests, but my I guess my bottom at that time was I got a DUI, and I was double fisting Long Island iced tea at a bar called the Ben Elbow, and my friends didn't want me to get in the car because they knew my drink was like really ugly, and got in the car and got in an accident, and my father showed up at the hospital, kicked in a trash can. I could hear him. And my alcoholic mind, I didn't believe I was an alcoholic at the time. I was 21 years old.
Sure, yeah.
And my alcoholic mind started going like, how can I get out of this? Like, what am I going to say?
So he showed up to the hospital in East Stroudsburg, or you were local at this time?
No, I was at Abington. I got tossed. I'm sorry. I got tossed from East Stroudsburg.
Gotcha.
And,
okay.
Yeah. And some fights, and I was banned from Kutztown University.
Just partying there?
Just partying. Would go out and had a boyfriend there and got in a fight out there, and I was banned. So I left Stroudsburg and I was at Temple, and this was in Abington I was in Abington Hospital when my dad showed up after the DUI. But my alcoholic head was saying, like, I gotta get him off my back somehow. So I pulled the crying card and was like, Dad, I need help. I got a drinking problem. And back then,
this is like 03.
This is like 36 years ago.
Yeah.
34. Well, I was 21. I'm 56 now. So that night after I got out of the hospital, I called AA, the hotline.
Mm-hmm.
And they told me where a meeting was. And to get my dad off my back, I went downstairs and my mom and my dad and my sister were sitting there. And I said, I think I have a drinking problem. And I called AA. And I'm going to go to an AA meeting. And my dad, he was an IBM executive, but he was working part-time with the Bucks County DUI program, which is
I didn't know that.
Fascinating. Longer in my story. But so he goes, yeah, that's great. But I got you a bed at a facility. We're going to take you there right now. And my mom was crying.
Yeah.
She was an enabler. She didn't think I needed to go. I didn't think I needed to go, but I didn't have a choice because my dad was like pretty firm, like you're going.
He put his foot down too. Yeah.
Yeah. And he had been in recovery a long time. He knew the signs. He knew what was up. He knew I didn't gain the freshman 20 from the cafeteria food at Stroudsburg.
No.
He knew I was drinking a lot. So I went to this treatment facility when I was 22 years old. And I didn't think I was anything like these people. I remember packing my loafers, my preppy sweater, and
your Birkenstocks.
Birks weren't.
They weren't around.
They
yet.
weren't alive yet. But so I was going through the motions. But I was a big crybaby, and I missed my mom a lot. And I had a great therapist. His name was Jack Scanlon, and he's passed away since then. He was actually at my wedding, but there was a person, he's still in the field today. He did a lecture on the family, and it was the scapegoat, the mascot, and he gave me a visual of what my family was, and I just started crying. I'm like, oh my God. So I was always under the impression like my family was normal, like successful. We go to church. We don't talk about my dad's drinking or recovery, but like, so I started going through the motions, and it was all motivated by my father, not by me. I did not want to be an alcoholic at 22 years old. Back then, everyone was old, everyone. And AA was very different back then.
Yeah.
We had greeters. We got sober at a place called Sobriety Group. I used to have to clean the ashtrays. You could smoke in the meetings. But
I wish they would bring those back though.
Oh, it'd be great.
If people were just ripping cigs in there again. Not just all vapes.
But I got, I hated my father. I hated him for putting me in treatment, and I hated being like him. But I got a sponsor, and her name was Big Book Mary. And she was a big book thumper, and started volunteering at the rehab I went to. And that's how I got into the industry.
Yeah.
My first job was a detox counselor on the weekends.
Yeah.
And covering the weekends. And then I was the activities therapist. And then back then, you could be a therapist without a master's. So I was an outpatient therapist.
It was different back then, yeah.
It was a great time. Like rehab was so much fun back then. I mean, we could do things that really pushed the envelope somewhat. And I had a lot of great mentors, and stayed there for a while. And then I went to a place called Good Friends, and it was a halfway house for men. And I was driving those guys around the reentry program.
Is that the one that's in Morrisville?
Morrisville.
Yeah.
That's Snipes, yeah.
Yep.
So I would drive the van around to get them jobs.
Yeah.
Like I was like 22 years old, 23 years old with like 12 guys in the back of the van, driving them all over, like staffing agencies and getting them work. And I had a dear friend. His name was Jay Utes, and I met him at Livingren, and then I took his job at Good Friends. He got me connected with the Good Friends people, and that was a great job. But fast forward, Mary died when I had 10 years sober.
Mhm.
And I was working in the field. I had my kids. I got married. I had my kids working in the field.
How many kids do you have?
I bore triplets. I have 3 biological children and 3 stepchildren.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Oh, yeah. You got a whole clan now.
I got a clan. Yeah.
We'll get into all that later.
Yeah, I'm sure. But I remember Mary passed away when I had 10 years sober. And, I remember when I was working in the field, my ego was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Then I was running groups at halfway houses. Some of the first halfway houses or recovery houses that ever opened.
Mm-hmm.
Jay was one of the first ones. I would go and I'd run groups in Croydon and Bristol at his houses. There was no place to go after rehab back then. And so I did that when my kids were little, but my ego was like growing. And I was thinking, like, I'm doing all this work. All these people are saying, you saved my life. Best therapist ever. That was a great lecture. Thanks so much. And I stopped, going to meetings. And work was like my meetings back then.
Yeah.
And I started thinking, like, who doesn't get a DUI when they're 21 years old? Like, everybody drinks. And I started manipulating people before I picked up. And manipulating people like, do you really think I was an alcoholic? Like, I mean, come on. And we moved to a cul-de-sac, and I told people there, well, I have a brain tumor and I have 1 kidney. I was born with abnormal anatomy. And I told people there I didn't drink because of my medical issues.
Wait, is that true or that's all?
That's true. That's,
okay.
Yeah, that's a true story.
I didn't know if that was like a whole, okay.
Well, I can understand you asking because I could be a storyteller, but I didn't tell people. So the secrets started, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, I did so well for so long and you can't bank it, right? You can't bank the time you have or the work that you did. And I manipulated my husband at the time. That, I don't think I was an alcoholic and he's a drinker and he wanted probably his drinking buddy back because we met when I was drinking. And I relapsed when my triplets were 10 years old. I remember it was right before my 40th because I remember going to Puerto Rico for my 40th and I was a disaster, a mess. So I had the 1 DUI when I was 21, and then I racked up 3 more DUIs.
Mm-hmm.
I was very involved in the community, like not AA. I wasn't going to AA, but I was involved in church, and I had a decent reputation in the community. And all of a sudden, like, I got the reputation of like the drunk mom. You
hear what happened to Katie?
Those poor kids. Oh, and back then we had newspapers. Mm-hmm. So every DUI was written in the paper. 1 DUI, my kids drove by when the cops had me pulled over. Yep. Another DUI. I pulled into my sister-in-law's drive. I knew all the cops. They knew my minivan.
Yeah. Where were you living?
And they knew I shouldn't. I was in Chalfont.
Okay, yeah.
So they knew my minivan. So they'd see the silver minivan and be like, Katie, we just arrested her like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
So I pulled into my sister-in-law's driveway thinking like, I'm good, I'm home. Mm-hmm. And they're like, Katie, like they knew my name.
Yeah.
I used to bring cookies over there to the police department. So another form of manipulation, I think. So I got arrested in her driveway.
That was number 2. 3, really, but
that was 3.
Round.
And that's when it was interesting because every DUI I went back to AA. I typically would call my father crying and ask because he understood, but I always went back to AA. Put my hand up, I drank again, I'd get another sponsor, I'd go through, like, I was the girl in AA. Like, relapse,
yeah.
like, she's never going to get it. And my marriage fell apart. Not just because of his issue. It was falling apart because of my drinking.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, I learned that through my steps. But I was 20 years married, and I found out my husband at the time was gay. I remember that night, and I really felt like I can't get sober. What is this? I got married, like I left my parents' house and got married.
Yeah.
I don't know how to pay bills. I don't know, like maybe we'll work it out. Maybe there's some way we can work it out. And I was also so pissed off at him. And I'm like, we got to go to therapy. You got to tell the kid. Like I was like wreaking havoc.
Yeah.
On my pain was like.
Well, you were still drinking at the time too, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, and here's the thing. Like, so I'm drinking. I've got all these DUIs in court, like they're racking up. So they're going to like do a and they're going to charge me with all the DUIs, the 3 DUIs all at once. I'm working for this guy, a crook, in the industry.
Yeah.
I find out like my whole world, the whole rug got pulled out from under me. I don't know how to pay a bill or anything. So my solution, okay, I'm reading the Bible, trying to go to AA, but drinking, and I'm on Match.com, like trying to find a dude. Like
that's like the old Ricky D statement, like apples, oranges, Tonka truck. What's not adding up here? Like
literally the Bible, the big book, Match.com profile. I couldn't drive, so I'm telling.
Did you put that in the bio in the Match.com? Will need transportation.
Transportation for preferred.
Date must be in Bucks County.
But like literally, like I was so hopeless, and I know, like I can always identify with people that relapse, that are beating themselves up, like because I literally, like, I'm not exaggerating, like I wanted to kill myself.
Yeah, I
remember burning drunk my wedding album, and I wish I didn't do that now. But, and completely hopeless, going like, I can't get, everybody's in AA is pissed at me. Like I just keep come back. They're trying to help me.
Yeah.
I had to make amends to people in AA too, but, I literally thought like, I can't do all this. It's too much. And, so many people were pissed. So and I get it. Like, I remember like my family got like, oh, you're going to lose your kids.
Yeah.
And
they wouldn't get it, but like when we're wrapped up in it, like none of that matters. Right. And I know your kids, right? But at the end of the day, like when we're drinking or we're drugging, it stepped right over anything.
Yeah. Well, it was more my mind. I believe my disease centers in my mind.
Yeah.
It ain't about the drink. And it's loud some days, even still. And my mind was just like, you either got to find someone to fix it
Mhm.
with Match.com, or you got to, everybody would be better off.
Yeah.
Like, and here's the thing, my head would be like, I'll show them, I'll kill myself. And, then they'll understand the pain
Yeah.
I was in. I mean, the pain, the pain and the fear was like torture. I had a lot of good people in my life that showed up so many different times, like over and over.
That's kind of what we do, right? I just went through it with my buddy Murph, right? Not just through, what is it, probably 2 years? I'm horrible with dates at this point. But yeah, I mean, like we would try in and out, in and out, in and out. And it's like, he would take some suggestions and then he wouldn't take some of the other ones. And it's, it's really a shame.
And the pain I put my mother through and my father. I remember them, the day I went to court, it was a mandatory year I was looking at. And I remember putting my kids, I walked them down to the bus. And they didn't know I was going to court. Like when I served 72 hours in jail, I told them I went to a spa.
Mm.
But I remember walking them to the bus stop and putting them on the bus and thinking I might not see them for a year, because I said to my family, like, if I go away, don't bring them to see me. I don't want, like, and I remember, like, I might not see them for
that stuff
at least a year. It wasn't even like I knew I was losing my license, like, for a long time. But
and for the viewers at home, I mean, a long time. We'll get into it, but it was a long time.
I mean, they're always surprised when I have a car here.
Yeah.
I forgot how to drive. I'm not going to take the whole test over.
I just remember when we met.
Everything.
I just remember when we met and you had the thing that you still had to blow, and I was like, Katie, like, what's going on?
What's up? Like,
you're like, don't worry about it. I just got my license back. I was like,
good.
You're like, how long's it been? It's been almost a decade.
Oh my God.
So I mean, with that, we could end the podcast there. I did forget to say in the beginning, like, comment, share, subscribe, whatever my buddy always wants me to say, right? We're on Instagram, Pain W Purpose, Apple and Spotify, Pain with a Purpose podcast, and on YouTube, Pain with a Purpose podcast.
Love the podcast.
It's really interesting. Still figuring it out. 10 episodes in, still have no clue what I'm doing, but thank God.
Place looks great.
Thank you.
Where's your designer?
Thank you. So yeah, all right. So we obviously heard a lot about the pain, right? And there's probably a ton of pain that we're leaving out.
Yeah.
But so I remember we met, and we got to be going on 8 years now? 9?
You didn't have the studs in
I didn't have this. No,
yeah.
I did have the studs back then, I think.
I don't think you did. Yeah, it was probably 9 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for anybody that might be like tuning in, so the backstory between Katie and I, without giving, because it's a lot. But really what happened was Katie was a recruiter at the time. I had a job. I wasn't really looking for a job, but my girlfriend at the time, my now wife, told me to like stop by this place, and I stopped by and she was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I don't really know, but I'm here." And,
we were waiting for you.
Yeah.
Because Kellen said,
I felt famous. I was like, "Oh, here we go.
Keep an eye out."
Mm-hmm. So then,
like, okay, there's like 100 people here, but Chris.
Yeah. And then, so like, I started the new job. Right. And then fast forward a couple years later, you've never turned me in the wrong direction. I've ran a lot of stuff by you professionally, personally. And then you were like, "Hey, take this shot. Don't take that shot." And like, I took it to heart, right? Because who knows where I would have landed, but at the end of the day, life comes full circle, right? You went out and got ordained. That
was the best. That was probably,
seriously,
one of
the fact that you brought up like war zone,
the gulag.
Yeah, the gulag.
I don't even know what that is.
I didn't even know what it was. I just know I spent a lot of time there because I was during COVID and like I didn't know what else to do with myself.
Here's my alcohol. This is my alcoholism. You go, don't say anything.
You're like, right.
Gulag.
Yeah. All right. So then at some point, you got sober this time around, right? So what did that look like?
So, yeah, that was a miracle. So I'll tell you, I felt completely hopeless. Again, devastated everyone. You know, it says it in the big book. I was a tornado. I was a hurricane going, wreaking havoc through everyone's lives.
You do that sober too, though.
I do. I do. I think I like it.
Yeah.
But I completely hopeless. I met with my now sponsor, and I went over to their house, and I had 5 journals. My thing was like I always went back to AA, got a sponsor, and I started journaling and writing about myself. And I had these 5 journals and my big book, and I said, put them on the coffee table. I put them on the coffee table. I never opened them. And it was brought up that you're so self-centered because all you're doing is writing journals about yourself.
Yeah.
You need to find God. And he talked to me about my conception of God. And also said I didn't lose all my knowledge for all those years. And talked about my conception of God, and I thought of my mother. And my mother had this beautiful being about her. She had a conscious contact with God. I truly believe it, running through her all the time. She never boasted about it. It was clear to me that she had a strong reliance upon God. And I thought about her, and that's my conception was my mom. And on step 2, I came to believe that a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity. And I said, I believe there's something greater than Katie. I choose to call it God. I just don't trust them with the outcome. They said, say that again.
Yeah.
And that's when I start running the show. That's when my head I just don't trust them. I'm impatient. I'm impulsive. I think I know everything. And that was when something clicked, and I left that house singing Catholic church songs. I still have them on a playlist.
Yeah.
Like all my mom's favorites.
Mm-hmm.
And I will listen to that some days and just cry because I can feel her. Like, I know it sounds so weird, but
we start doing weird stuff when we're like okay with ourselves.
I do a lot of crying in the car. But I remember my husband saying, I got home and he was pissed. Wasn't my husband at the time. He's like, what's your plan? What's the plan? And I looked him straight. I'm like, I don't have a plan. And I still today, Chris, I don't have a plan.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a big, I hate the question, how much time do you have?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to sound controversial here, but I hate that question because why are you asking me? Are you asking me because if I have more time than you, I'm better than you?
Mm-hmm.
If I have less, I'm less than you? Because I woke up at 5:20 today. And
you got more time than all of us then.
Yeah. But that day at a time and that 24 hours, I'll look at my watch all the time. I just did it upstairs with someone. I'm like, yeah, it's 6. I'm okay.
Also, same thought, right? And just because we're sitting here talking about it doesn't make us better than anybody else. But I've been in places in my sobriety where I could have woke up at 4. It doesn't matter, right? But I was living so dirty, right?
Yeah.
And thank God I didn't pick up. But
yeah,
it's the same deal, right?
Yeah.
What does it really look like when I'm by myself, right? Can I sit quietly, or am I absolutely losing my mind?
Yeah.
Any given day, even today, I could still be losing my mind.
Yeah.
It's all contingent on real work that we're doing on ourselves. Yeah,
and I got into my husband's really spiritual. He's a big meditator, a Zen dude. He can go into he has nothing. So I was YouTubing, reading books,
I remember. I remember I was at
eating
the one job.
almonds. I was eating an almond, getting healthy, going green. I mean, I was trying, like, I was seeking. And my husband, it was the 8-minute meditation by day, and it's the time of 2 commercials. And I listened to that for a little bit, but my sponsor said, you don't have to put a time frame on your meditation. Just sit in the quiet. Like, take a breath.
Mm-hmm.
You know how quiet that is, except for your phone buzzing. Like, but I can get quiet and and everything's okay.
Yeah.
And I have like this recurrent, like, everything's okay. And it's going to sound really weird, but I sit in the same chair in the morning. I sit in the same chair at night when I review my day. Like, I'm habitual. I'll walk away. Like, my husband knows, like, I just have to walk away for a moment, shut the door, take a breath. Like, seriously, like.
So I'm not there yet, but what I met somebody, I don't know, a few months back, and what's like been greatly helpful, right, is I literally put the AirPods in, put the noise canceling on, and I just go on there, like iTunes, and I just put on like soft music.
Yeah.
And I just like shut it down for a little bit. And that's like, right, like 10 years in, I should have been like meditating this whole time, like seriously, but like I always, you know, we talk about like taking some suggestions, not taking some, and like, again, I'm not perfect, but for a while there, I just didn't give it any attention at all.
Yeah.
And it's been so helpful.
So these practices or these rituals, like, I'm off when I don't do them, and I'm really good, like, when I'm sitting in that chair. But when I get on the turnpike or I read an email, that then it starts to like, and my ego starts, and I gotta pause. I do you know, it's interesting. There's not a lot of people that I know that I can call to 10th step, but I do it often because I can't always see my ego. And my defects. And I have these simple little, I had a great therapist. I've been in therapy for years, but I had a great therapist, and she's like, you know, practice simple things, little things. And I go, I love Facebook. Older people, I think, like Facebook. I mean, it's a way for me to stay connected and stuff.
You're very active on Facebook.
Well, listen, this is the advice she gave me. She said, every day, post something you're happy about. Whether you're going through a good day or not, try to make one post. I've been doing that for years. And I can be going through an issue or having a lot of pain, but I try to post something happy. And I've had people say, like, is it fake? It's genuine happiness, but it's a part of, like, my stupid practice. Well, they're not stupid. They saved my life, but it's a part of my practices. Like the breath in, I breathe God in, I exhale Katie out. Like, it's real simple stuff with me. It's
all stuff, again, right, that before I got sober, I thought was really, really corny stuff. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it was like metal on metal.
Yeah.
And if I stay metal on metal for too long, it's never good.
Yeah.
And if that's what works for you, that's what works for you. Who cares if it's genuine, fake it till you make it, whatever the case may be. If it's your practice, it's your practice. You know?
I can feel peace when we took that breath or got quiet. Like, I have a moment of peace.
Yeah.
Because my mind's sick.
That's part default setting. Yeah. All right. So to segue kind of a little bit into like current stuff, right? What does life look like now? Sober, full, hectic, not enough time in the day, even though you're waking up before the sun comes up, hours before the sun comes up. Like, what does that look like? Where are the kids at now?
Oh, Chris.
Oh.
My kids are like my proudest.
Yeah. That's what, first off, side note, before you start crying, that's why I wore my how do you say it? Hookah? That's why I wore them today. Because I know you got a kid that's got real into running.
She's an athlete.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like moms out there, like my mom, mine always says I've never done enough. I was never good, especially with the drinking. I was never good enough. I made so many mistakes, and I go to the bad all the time, my memories sometimes. And my kids are like the best accomplishment I have in my life. And it's not just what they do for a living, it's a relationship. So life today is I'm an empty nester as of a week ago. So Wayne and I are figuring that lifestyle out. I hate it, quite frankly.
It's too quiet.
Well, I was saying to some girls in the program, like, let's do it like a mom's book study.
Yeah.
Who wants to play pickleball? But my kids, there's been a lot of painful conversations with my kids, and that's part of the healing. And I've had to sit and I've had to like allow them to process memories that they have of me and my drinking. And today life is, they're 25. My triplets are 25, and to be in a place where they're your friends and you can laugh and you can show up. It hasn't always been like, listen, we've they've grown up and they've had their own difficulties and their own challenges. And I can tell you as a mom, when your kid's hurting, like my first instinct is I'm gonna kill the person that hurt my kid. But I've had to learn, and people in the program have taught me like this over and over, like all they need for me to do is not drink one, and be present and listen. And the hardest part, transitioning with parenting was, when they got to an age, I remember writing them letters when they were 16 that said, it's time for me to stand on the sideline, and you're going to make your own decisions, and they're going to have their own consequences, but I'm going to be there. But I can't tell you. Like, I really work hard because I'm a control freak of not telling them. They got to figure it out. And I knew there's been instances when I knew I'm like, this isn't the best decision in this situation.
Yeah.
But can I please keep my mouth shut? Because I was enmeshed. I was codependent on my children. They were my world, but I think I was a little overboard. And specifically with my son, I was very reliant on him. He drove me for years.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
He drove me for years, and we got very close, but I was doing him a disservice, and not letting him grow. And I needed to learn boundaries with my kids. I mean, they're my everything. They're my world. And they probably stopped me from killing myself when I couldn't get sober. Like, so I was like, maybe they need me, but like they were my like that power that like I can't do that. And so Mags moved out February with her boyfriend, and she's so happy. And
We like boyfriend.
Love boyfriend. Okay.
Because we would publicly say it here.
Everyone that knows me knows. Not the best fan. No, I love Kev. Because you want to know what? He treats her the way she deserves to be treated, like a queen. Like the little things mean so much to me. And then Christian was, I was manipulating him, feeding him dinner every night, and trying to get him to stay. I gave him the whole basement. He had a great layout. And randomly, an apartment opened up. Had actually very close to Maggie. And I said, I don't even know how I said this. It had to be God. You should take a look at this and you should go for it. You can do it. You can afford it. And the day he signed the lease, and I told him this, I watched him and he was talking to the landlord, and I said, you weren't my little boy. I was watching a grown man sign that. And they're just amazing. They're just amazing. And it's baffling to me because for a while I was such a mess. And they saw, like, there's things that came out of my mouth that were horrifying. I would never say.
Oh, I can only imagine. Yeah. And then what about Molly? Where's she?
Miles starts her job on Monday.
I thought she was already working.
No, she just graduated with her master's in athletic training. She's board certified athletic trainer. Was she like doing like an internship or something? She is not a gym teacher. She's done many internships.
That's what it was. Okay.
But she got past the boards for athletic training. She's starting down at I Am Health on Monday, and she's developing.
Awesome.
The first athletic trainer there. And I still can't pronounce what she graduated her under, kinesiology or health ed. Don't call her a gym teacher. She's an athletic trainer. But yeah, she's thriving and she's on to the next chapter. So the little birdies.
Yeah. Well, you got a lot of time now.
I got some time.
a lot more time for more purpose.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's very apparent, right, to me, but to the people that don't know you, like, how have you turned all of this pain into, like, the bright spot of your life, into your purpose, into, I don't know, everything of what you are?
I don't know what I am. I think my purpose, like, what's really important to me is my purpose on every day is to continue to seek my relationship with God and build my relationship with God. Because like I said, like, I have these practices, but my ego, my character defects crop up throughout the day. So I have to continue to seek and build that relationship. But and I know a lot of your other guests have said this, but truly it's being a service to other people. I think about my relapses and all the people that showed up for me and never gave up on me. I truly understand the disease of alcoholism and drug addiction. I like, that is not their fault, and I will love them till they love themselves. I will always pick my phone up. I will always text back if someone texts. I do get busy, but I want to show up for people. I want to give back, which was freely given to me in all areas of my life. And I'm not talking about sponsorship. I'm not talking about breaking down the big book. I'm not talking about giving rides. I'm talking about everywhere. I'm talking about at the Wawa, letting somebody in front of me. I'm talking about driving in the slow lane on Turnpike and just letting people speed past. I'm talking about, like, mentoring people with their careers. If I could help them, like, and try to be kind, because I can be, like, painfully honest and like, and I need to work more on my delivery sometimes, and having more compassion and understanding, because people are where they're at. And well, I can kind of be like, I remember with you, I was like, can you stop applying to, like, every position, dude? Like, enough.
Yeah.
Bad luck.
But that's the thing. I didn't have somebody in my life that actually would even tell me that, you know? Like, I didn't know that. I didn't know that applying for every single job was not.
Stop, dude.
Why don't you just be, like, okay with your current job and then maybe take, like, one shot? Yeah. I think what you might not know, but I'll say it for a lot of people that probably would love to say it or have the opportunity to say it, but I'll say it on, like, a public forum, I guess you could say, is, like, the Monday motivator post is huge. Whether you know it or not, right? Because, again, like, we never know what people are going through, but like that could be, you randomly picking somebody and saying like our Monday motivator goes to, so-and-so, like that is huge. And then you go ahead and do a whole segment after it too. Like that's pretty awesome.
You want to know where that comes from?
I can only imagine.
Listen to this. I told someone this the other day. I do my ritual. I get quiet. And on Monday mornings, I'm starting the week, right? So I'm thinking about that, preparing for the day, but preparing for the week. And I get quiet and I ask God to put somebody in my head, random.
Mm-hmm.
I swear to, that's the truth.
Yeah.
And these people, I'm like, and so then I got to do a little research on them and find a little backstory, be a creeper, but I'm a recruiter, so I can be a creeper. But somebody will pop in my head. There's no rhyme or reason to it. Yeah. It's like random.
I've noticed that. Yeah. Because like, listen, I mean, I also have character defects too, so I judge. And I'm like, where'd she come up with this one? But then you read into it and you're like, it's actually pretty cool.
God.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they pop up in my head.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe something that happened this week. Maybe it's
yeah.
But it's just like cool. Like, God, like all quiet, like, how can I serve you today? How could I be a service to you? Use me, God.
Yeah.
But Monday, thank you for saying that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I noticed it. I mean, it's always, because it's not just PA. Like you do it company wide, which is cool. I don't even know this person worked for us. Okay.
They might not. Well, like I swear to God, it was like this one.
Yeah. So, to further that thought, like what is like the next, like, what's the future look like? Like where do you want to see yourself? And now I'm going to have to start doing disclaimers. So you can't say, because the last podcast, my buddy, like hit it spot on, right? So we'll just say that everybody's going to say that. Can't say further my connection with God, right? Because that's a given.
Oh, I already said that. You should have told me earlier.
But like, no. But like this one, you can't. So like, what's the future look like? What do you want your purpose to continue to look like? God willing, there's no more pain in that sense of this is kind of all surrounding. But like, what does it look like?
I'm figuring that out.
Any more kids?
Well, Wayne, socks off. No, I know there's going to be no more kids, hopefully grandkids.
Okay.
I'd welcome that. Maybe dogs. I'm a dog lover. Love my dogs. If you follow me on Snapchat, the only reason I post so much about the dogs is my kids want to see the dogs.
And they're on Snapchat.
Because my brother-in-law's like, what's with you? There's a motive. Like, there's a method to my madness. He's like, what's with all the dogs? I'm like, it's for the kids. That's how they follow the dogs. But my purpose, I'm finding out, like, because it's been about my kids. For you, your kids, it's about the kids. And I got to find what it is that's important to Katie and what Katie wants to do. Like, I got lots of like hobbies. Like, I like redecorating. I like the interior design. I love gardening. Did kickboxing for a stint. Might join the gym again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the pickleball thing. But the cool thing is, like, I've been doing a lot of reflecting the past couple weeks, and I'm older, I'm more mature, and I'm at the stage where
hold on, you might be the most immature person I know.
I'm more mature. I have a lot of wisdom, but I'm excited to figure out what is going to be the purpose. I mean, the purpose, I will always give back and I will always serve. I have to, or I will drink again. But in terms of like career, like right now I'm like hiring. But if they told me on Monday, like, why don't you do like this? I'd be like, all right. I love a challenge, but I'd like to retire. In a couple years, maybe, and me and Wayne travel a little bit. But I don't know what's in store for the next chapter. It's funny because you have so many young people on here and they're like, well, maybe.
No, that's okay, because that's the thing. I don't know what's in store for my future, but I do know that, and I'm going to say it just because like I continue to believe it, is like, it doesn't matter, right? Because at the end of the day, like I didn't come this far just to get dropped here. So it's like, I'm pretty confident that like it's all going to work out, you know? So like it is what it is. I hope that if I continue to like live by like some principles that I've, you know, kind of brought on into my life, like it's all going to be okay. And I'll figure it out. And it's probably going to be something pretty cool. But if not, like we'll figure it out.
I was thinking about like doing a podcast.
You should. You should. I think you have a great room for it.
Oh, my meditation room. Yeah. No, I want the cool thing about like,
you should have done it in the meditation room for this one.
I know it would have been fire. The cool thing about like my recovery is like, I don't need to know, but I'm gonna like the whole world is open.
Yeah.
I can do really anything, which is cool, right?
Absolutely.
Wayne will probably, take me traveling. We'll travel the world.
Yep. Wayne, we know you're watching this one.
I don't know. An hour's long.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know how long we've been talking. But I've been trying to keep you along because I know if once you get started, we'll be here for 3 hours.
Yeah.
But with that, is there anything else you want to say before we do shut it down?
I'm not doing this. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for taking a risk and thinking outside the box and having all these guests on here and trying to connect with people that might be struggling. It takes so much courage to put the pain with the purpose on and for your people to speak about all the pain that they've gone through and be vulnerable. And I want to thank you for being in my life and allowing me the opportunity to marry you and Kelly. And I mean it when I say, like, that was such an incredible honor. A beautiful wedding, 2 people I adore. To be a part of that and to like, I'm not really ordained. It's like $29.
Neither am I. I forgot to sign the only license I had. They only needed one thing. I forgot.
Married, but like,
we won't say who's, but they forged it. It's okay.
But you and so many others that you know, a lot of them that I've been able. I didn't get them the job. I opened a door, but to be able to watch young adults, a lot of them in recovery, grow in their career and drive hustle hope car. And now to where you are today and so many others has been so gratifying.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know that, like how much, and even Kel, like she'll like randomly call me, but to be in a stage of my life where younger people come and need support, career opportunities, advice, and they'll maybe listen, but then to see, do you know how many stories? Do you know how many birth stories? I call them birth stories. I remember when I talked to. It's kind of like when you help somebody in AA, but I remember talking to them. I remember interviewing. I remember them making the offer. I remember their first day and to see, like, that has been incredible.
What's really cool is, like, you know, I often talk about like the ripple effect. And we don't really know how far or how long the ripple effect actually goes. But here, and it never really kind of hit home until you just said it, but like you get to see it from a hiring standpoint, and someone like really kind of like taking their first steps, going through that fear, growing within their career, right? And then on the flip side, the people that you've played a part in kind of bringing them onto an employer, right? And what we do for work is, you know, and then seeing how far that ripple effect goes, it's really deep shit. It really is.
It's really, and there's so many of them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like I posted something on one of my happies and I said, this person was one of my top 10 hires. And all these people are like, who are the other 9?
Yeah, I know.
And you know what?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's more than 10.
Yeah.
Like so many incredible people that, and it's been a privilege.
Well, your top 10, right, really could be like a top 100. Because that's how many people.
There's a lot of people.
There's so many people that are doing like really great work.
Yeah.
And there's no slowing down, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's pretty awesome to see.
And I think my recovery, because like it's the conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to know somebody's why. And I genuinely care. Like I don't like what's your why? Why do you care? Why do you want this? Like I had a mentor that used to say that, figure out the why. And you can't forget the why.
Mm-mm.
Like I can't forget. And that's why the purpose, like, and I looked up the meaning of purpose before I came here. I was like, he's going to ask me what purpose.
Yeah.
It's like your objective, what's your desire, like your desired outcome. I'm thinking another purpose for today is like, can I beat Jake's views?
Not for nothing.
I don't think so.
So I'll say it here. Jake's views are not in the lead right now. No.
Really?
Well, Instagram.
JBX.
So
JBX,
Instagram
roofing.
views, yeah. Jake's got it, right? But Johnny Butler's up there on Instagram. But as far as like listens, all the way through,
yeah,
it's Jack Delaney.
He was good.
Mm-hmm.
Talked about his mom.
Well, he's handsome. He's real handsome.
Well, he's a little young for me.
Yeah.
Well, I know what he talked about his mother.
He has a really cool story.
I was telling Christian that the other day. I'm like, you got to listen to this guy.
Yeah, he's a good one.
Yeah, but if I could, that would be a great purpose. But the senior edition, I don't know.
You never know. But like I said in the beginning, it was a long time coming. But I really appreciate you coming out.
I love you.
I really appreciate all the help that you've given me over the years and most recently over the past couple months, because whether the people that are listening, whether it's one person or 100, doesn't matter. You played a huge part in me just like being okay with actually like doing this. I remember you were like, I'm going to have all the behind the scenes files. And I remember you came out with the video.
My brother said, get a drone.
Yeah. And you were like, I'm going to, you sent me that video and I was like, we can't put this up. Can't put this up, Kate.
Remember the one I did of you walking down the hall with the briefcase? Yeah. I hate that briefcase.
Yeah. Well, I don't bring it out anymore. But yeah, so with that, I'll say it again, right? Like, comment, subscribe. We definitely appreciate the support. Pain W Purpose on Instagram, Pain with a Purpose podcast on YouTube and Apple and Spotify. And if you could, right, if you want to comment and like give your feedback, that'd be awesome too.
More seniors.
More seniors, yeah. Well, I'm working on getting more females, more women, right? Have one lined up for the next couple of weeks. Actually have 2 lined up for the next couple of weeks. So that would be good.
I know.
Right?
But
now you just gave away the secret. So
whoops.
We'll edit that one out. So this just went from not being edited to it has to get edited now.
I didn't know it was a secret.
Yeah, we're not going to tell anybody.
Okay, don't say anything.
All right, so we'll cut back on, and then, so yeah, thank you again, and it's greatly appreciated.
Thanks, Chris. Love you.
Yeah, love you too.